Walawani Nindawan, Jamaga Yorubini. Hello everyone, good evening. I'm Nardi Amethyst. I belong to the Eora Nation. The language I've just spoken is the Durga language, which is one of the languages spoken in southern Newland. Firstly, I'd like to pay my respects and express my gratitude, appreciation, and acknowledge the following. Auntie Colleen Dixon for doing the Welcome to Country, the local mob here that has been resisting and surviving the colonisation and genocide. You have survived. The elders, upcoming and future generations to come. The local community currently residing on Durangi country. The festival organisers for inviting me to speak. I quote, "Giving First Nations people a mic and space is one of the most radical things that you can do." As I heard Lorna Munro express in her podcast called Survival Guide. Meaghan for being an amazing, deadly supportive sister girl that she is. When one rises, we all rise. My ancestors before me, it's because of their resistance that I'm in existence today. My family, my husband, he's here tonight in the back there, and all of my teachers along the way that's helped shape who I am today. I'm a big believer in that it takes a village, and I know that because I'm a product of that. So for those that don't know me, as I said, I belong to the Eora Nation. And I'm currently living on Brinju Yuan country, which is near Maroota. I was born in Melbourne, also known as Naram, which is on Wurundjeri country, part of the Kulin Nation. I grew up living on Jar Jar Wurrung country. Also, sorry, before I get into this, I just wanted to thank all the speakers before me. They're amazing, especially the younger ones. The one that said to write down the list, the young girl, was it? Yes, we were just talking in the back, my husband and I, about what we're going to make on our list. And we said we want to plant a tree, and then this found its way into our hands. So keep doing what you're doing, and thank you. I just had to remember that, sorry. So, where was I? So I grew up on Jar Jar Wurrung country, which is also part of the Kulin Nation. To this day, I have a strong connection to the Jara people and community, and will always hold them closely in my heart wherever I go. About 10 years ago, I returned back to country to live, and since then, I've lived in various areas of the Eora Nation, both northern and southern. I follow my paternal grandmother's line, whom is a Brown. Her mother was Ruby Brown, born at Tilba Tilba. It's because of those women and my father that I'm blessed with my Yuan identity. In saying that, I would also like to acknowledge my mother for giving me life, whom is of mixed European heritage. I would like to acknowledge that she has always done her best in raising me to be proud of my culture and my First Nations identity. Previously, I volunteered with an organisation called Civic, which is Australia's first Indigenous Youth Climate Network. I did a bit of a stint there for a bit as the New South Wales State Coordinator. We worked on promoting and projecting the voice of some of the well-known campaigns now, Adani, Stop the Fracking in the NT, Save the Reef, and Stop the Drilling in the Bight. So these amazing, phenomenal network of just youth, Indigenous from all over. It's great. Yep. In the last year and a half, I've been studying and working within the interior design space. It's no secret that Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people are underrepresented within the design and creative industry. Not to mention that the Western ideologies are the only models used. However, we don't fit into the Western models. We never really have. I feel as though it's another way of assimilation. I'm fascinated with the psychology behind design. You are or become the environment you live in. This is something I've been chipping away at when I can, but currently I've deferred for a semester and returned back home down near Maruya to care for my father. I'm appreciating every moment being back down the coast, next to the ocean, amongst the trees, the animals. I hadn't had this luxury living in Sydney, and it's made me realise how much of a privilege it is to live like this. Since returning home, I've recently embarked on my language journey, unlearning English and learning Duraga. It's blowing my mind. The revival is unfolding right before my eyes, which now we get to embed language back into our household and our families. Because this was ripped away from us, causing us trauma. But now we get to tend to that wound and begin that healing. So that's my journey at present. When Meaghan called me to ask me if I'd be interested in coming to this festival to speak in regards to environmental justice, I said yes, because this sort of stuff is my jam. With the festival's theme this year being, what if we took charge? To be honest, it brought up a lot of mixed emotions for me. But I felt like we were coming together to share ideas and to manifest some amazing sustainable ideas for the future. I'm genuinely interested in hearing more about what people's thoughts and ideas are. I would also love to hear about what people are doing and what is working. In all honesty, this week has been a big reflection journey for me, and I thought I should speak about that. Also speak about that so you can get to know me a little bit more as well. So my environmental journey has started at birth, and I've had the environmental fundamentals ingrained into me from day dot. That it's just a way of life. My mother grew me up out bush in the early part of my years, amongst the beautiful tall wood gum trees. I remember getting taught how to yabby, fish, catch rabbits, because we couldn't always afford to eat. But who needs money when you know how to live off the land, right? You got to know how to survive if you're going to live out bush. We'd cook rabbit stew in the campfire oven. With the hot coals, we would grow our own food. I would get taught how to plant, maintain, harvest different types of fruits, veggies. I remember having a compost. One of my jobs was to take the compost out. We also lived on tank water, so I was educated very quickly on the importance of water and being water-wise. My journey didn't stop there. I also remember going out to these random self-sufficient camps and properties, like that was legit in the middle of nowhere. But I was used to that lifestyle and didn't look at it any different. I remember I would just spin out on all the deadly little setups that they would have, that they were self-sufficient. And communal living at its finest. I didn't fully understand the importance of self-sufficient living back then like I do now, but I can say that I'm privileged that I've been exposed and have experienced that way of life. My father has also instilled the importance of land, water, and ocean into me. I've spent so much time with him travelling up and down parts of the Yuin Nation, with him explaining the different cultural significance to different areas, different things, not just him, like different family members as well. Passing that knowledge on to me because I am one of the next generation coming through. I've spent many summers camping as well, at various places up and down the coast. My father being a hunter, gatherer and provider for his family back in his younger days, he is well known for his diving along the south coast. He has also passed that on to me and taught me how to survive off the coast. Diving as much as we have along the different parts of the Yuin Nation, I've witnessed my father say many times, "Well, Dor, it's like a desert under there now. It never used to be like that. Everything was in abundance." I feel a piece of him die inside every time, and he says something when he says something isn't there anymore, and that eats me up. And that's how the environmental destruction trauma gets passed on. This includes the unrepairable damage mining, deforestation, water contamination and illegal fishing, to name a few, has done to different parts of the UN nation and other countries that make up this continent. I say that because this continent wasn't made up of states and territories. It's colonisation that are trying to rewrite history. Trying to make something trying to make something theirs that wasn't theirs to begin with. I want to state that I'm not speaking on behalf of anyone. I'm speaking as an individual, young woman who belongs to the UN nation, that wants environmental justice to protect and preserve as much as possible for future generations. Because everything that gives us life can't always speak for itself. And I want to keep what we got. My cultural existence is rapidly depleting before my eyes because of the greed and gentrification, contributing to the displacement of my people more and more. Trying to shift and manoeuvre them like a pawn on a chessboard, causing deeper distraction, hoping for future generations of assimilation. This is a very traumatic thing for a First Nations person, knowing they descend from the oldest horticulturalists, agriculturalists and aquaculturalists. My old people lived in abundance and made sure they never exhausted our resources. That's why we lived in abundance. At this present moment, individuals, collectives, are raping and scraping the mother. By that I mean leaving a legacy of destruction for their children, their grandchildren and their grandchildren's children. That's when it's time for the grandchildren's grandchildren to be living in a world their ancestors created for them. I don't think they'll be proud of having such a barren future determined for them. Change needs to happen now. What if and how do we get there? By these so-called legitimate companies are ripping out trees, whilst we're busy trying to plant seeds with the hope to replace and reconstruct this destruction. I'm filled with the anxiety and trauma of what ifs and hows. How am I going to fulfill my environmental responsibilities with these different policies and greed? With all the uncertainty and possibility floating around in my head, I began to sit there with the ultimate what if, stuck, confused and in a trauma loop, dreaming of the past. What if this continent was never colonised? The trauma of this, what if we took charge, wouldn't exist? Because we were the ones in charge, maintaining our parts of country and water. That was everyone's responsibility. That would mean I wouldn't have to be learning how to unlearn and relearn, which can be frustrating at times. But when I push through all this complex trauma, it becomes to feel like a missing piece is being put back to the puzzle, because we are tending to that wound of healing. It's like colonisation got us into this situation, but they look at us to fix it, like we ain't got enough trauma of our own. But at some point, I had to come back to the present moment. What if we took charge from today? What does that look like? What if we could hold people accountable for their reckless environmental destruction? What if there were heavier penalties and more education? What if there were an environmental workshop for these reckless environmental destructors that they had to do when they offended, like drink drivers have to do? Or even better, what if there was a rehab for these destructors? They need some serious education and rehabilitation in my eyes. What if instead of jury duty, it was mandatory to do environmental duty? With bush regeneration, highway and beach cleanups, just to name some. What if Clean Up Australia Day was every day? What if we could just rock up to these cotton farmers' doors with hundreds of people and unlock the dams and somehow let the water flow back into the Darling River? What if we just did what they do, but more like a vigilante sort of approach? What if there were more spaces and what if there was more spaces for environmental and water protectors to come together and openly share, build strategies, and work together from different communities? What if there are so many possibilities? What if the land was handed back to the traditional owners without the terms and conditions? What if there are so many possibilities? Is this possible? Can this be a possibility? How can we get there? I feel now is the time, and that we all really need to be coming together more than ever and stand in solidarity to create a more united voice to stop this mindless destruction of our mother and to replenish the mother. This is something that affects all of humanity and every little living thing, as we know. Is it just me, or can anyone else feel the mother crying right now? And I wrote this before coming into this room, and I don't even really need to say that, because walking into this room I can feel that.